So the Indiana Fever waive DeWanna Bonner and sign Ary McDonald. Well, it is never a dull moment with the Indiana Fever this season. I mean, it wasn't very dull last season, but this season is on another level. The news just broke yesterday, late afternoon. Annie Costabile, of course, the shams of the WNBA, broke the news that DeWanna Bonner had no intention of returning to the Indiana Fever. She was out for the game against the Seattle Storm. She was out for 4 previous games. I mean, we all knew something was definitely up. I could just tell by the way when Steph White was asked about DeWanna Bonner, even in the pregame interview yesterday, she had mentioned that she's not really in contact with DeWanna Bonner. And the day before, when she was asked about DeWanna Bonner during practice, her tone was really off. It went really down, talking about hope she's doing okay, but it didn't seem right. I didn't buy into the Banner thing. I just don't think that the Indiana Fever would make a move like that. It's a bit weird and petty and not professional. So I didn't buy into that. And it ended up being not true. But I knew something was going to happen. And the reason is because the longer she sits out for personal reasons, the longer she eats into the cap space for the Indiana Fever to figure out what their next move is. I mean, they could have looked for a trade for her. They might have been doing that to no avail, but their decision was to just wipe their hands of the situation, let it go, and waive DeWanna Bonner. And according to Chloe Peterson, this is what DeWanna Bonner had to say. I want to sincerely thank the Indiana Fever for the opportunity to be part of the Fever franchise. Despite our shared goals and excitement heading into the season, I felt the fit did not work out, and I appreciate the organization's willingness to grant my request to move on, particularly at this point in my career, Bonner said. I wish the Fever great success as they continue to build around this dynamic group of young players. Now, I mean, that does not sound like DeWanna Bonner's words. That was definitely pre-planned. It is nice to, say these positive things as opposed to not saying anything at all. She didn't have to say anything at all. But again, if she wants to get picked up by another team and not seen as, a locker room negative impact if it doesn't work out, this is a smart move. And now it kind of makes sense why Ary McDonald did not sign with any other teams when a lot of the players from other teams were going to Eurobasket. She didn't sign a hardship contract. She didn't get picked up by another team because after her showing with the Indiana Fever, she became a commodity. She was a hot piece of free agent. And it really did not seem like anybody would pass up a point guard with Ary's abilities because a point guard in the WNBA that is able to shoot she's a 3-level scorer. That is the threat in the WNBA, especially today. She has court IQ. She is fast. She just fits she is in so much of the plus category that I think teams would move pieces around to have a point guard with her abilities on the team. And I think that around the time that Ary was going to become available was around the time that DeWanna Bonner just stopped showing up for games. And I don't necessarily believe that the Indiana Fever had the intention immediately to bring Ary in, but I think with this confluence of events, it just made it so that Ary McDonald was able to be brought over to the Indiana Fever. This is going to make the fans happy. This is going to boost their backcourt. This is going to lend to a lot of safety for when Caitlin Clark either goes out for a rest or if Caitlin Clark wants to play off ball, then there is a ball handler that can actually make plays. There is a ball handler that can run and score in the paint. She can score from the perimeter. I mean, Ary McDonald being on the Indiana Fever is such a plus. And I'm just assuming, but she probably turned down a lot of offers from other teams to wait for this news. And she was signed to the veteran minimum, which is $53,000, which means that the Indiana Fever are definitely going to be making another offseason move. They have the cap space, they have the roster space, and I don't know. I mean, this DeWanna Bonner thing was kind of like a blessing in disguise. I'm definitely of the opinion that the Indiana Fever are definitely thinking of something in the front court, though. They need a big because with Dantas out, their front court consists of Bree Turner, who obviously, it was inbounding a ball yesterday and inbounded it to the opposite team. Michaela Timpson, who she could be a star if Steph White ever gave her any playing minutes, but she could be a star with that 6'10" wingspan, but she has not yet had the court time to become savvy against defenders like an Asia Wilson, against defenders like a Nafisa Collier. There's also Natasha Howard, who she's a steady presence on the court, but I mean, I don't know. Natasha Howard, she makes a lot of like silly mistakes, like especially when she's handling the ball. It kind of gets out of her hands very easily and very quickly, resulting in turnovers. So don't expect this to be the end of the moves for the Indiana Fever. Ideally, and I mean, this is something that has been catching fire, but Emma Miesemann, I mean, she would make a huge difference for the Indiana Fever. Now, Emma Miesemann is a decorated player. She is off championship after championship. She has medals, she has trophies galore. And she does have some stipulations about coming over to the WNBA, one of which she wants to be coming over on a championship contending team, and she does not want to get paid the veteran minimum. Now, prior to today, the Indiana Fever did have $36,000 left in cap space to spend, and having waived DeWanna Bonner was on a $200,000 unprotected contract. We're about 1/3 into the season, so if you subtract 1/3 out of her $200K, that's $66.6K, which leaves $133,000 just from DeWanna Bonner. Add that to the $36K, and you get $169,000. Then they signed Ary McDonald for $53,000. And the Indiana Fever are left with $116,000 to play with. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot of money, especially for a professional sport. It's actually kind of laughable. But in WNBA terms, that's a decent chunk of change. And the way that a lot of the successful WNBA teams have gone, they have shopped over in Europe. I mean, the New York Liberty have very successful European players on their roster. They have a lot of draft and stashes who they signed, just like taking them away from other teams so there wouldn't be any competition, and they have stashed them on their roster that aren't even playing yet. The Minnesota Lynx have brought over European players. The Phoenix Mercury have a bunch of European players. And there is a lot of talent over there. So I'm wondering if the Indiana Fever might be shopping overseas for this unicorn big that can stretch the floor, somebody that can battle through the paint, somebody that can be a rim protector. They need that because the Indiana Fever's rebounding is not very good this year. And I think signing Ary first was just a matter of circumstance. Ary was there. DeWanna Bonner mentioned not wanting to come back. So I would imagine that Kelly or Amber had a little talk with Ary to say, hey, if you wait for us, we will pay you. Now, I can imagine that this will be eating into Sid Colson's minutes. And, you know, Sid Colson has stepped it up lately. I think she is like gunning for minutes now on this team. And the way she steals, the way she picks pockets, like for the size that Sydney Colson is, she's pretty impressive, especially defensively. But, you know, there's times where, you know, last night she was open for a wide open layup in the fast break and she totally bricked it. Thank God Demirs Dantas was there to clean that up. It does happen to the best of us, but this is something that I wasn't surprised to see out of Sydney Colson, if that says anything. But I see this as good news. I see this like coming at the heels of an Indiana Fever win against a team that they were not favored to win for. I see this in a win where like the Indiana Fever showed us that, you know, even if Caitlin Clark is in a shooting slump, they can step it up, and while she goes off the court, they can carry the team. And by the way, in my last video, I had mentioned in the intro element that the Indiana Fever can win without Caitlin Clark. I should have stipulated that they can carry moments when Caitlin Clark is off the court or in a shooting slump, because Caitlin Clark, again, she definitely made an impact on yesterday's win. So I just want to clear that up, just in case anybody thought that I'm sitting here thinking that Caitlin Clark all of a sudden turned into a bum because, you know, while she's in a shooting slump, she is finding different ways to impact the team, different ways to create a win for the Indiana Fever. And, you know, the news of the way that DeWanna Bonner's performance was this entire season really bummed me out because I was rooting for her so hard. I was really excited for DeWanna Bonner. But, you know, with every game, I just kept seeing like she really did not fit into the system, which is exactly what, you know, the league sources had told Front Office Sports. That was said, that she just didn't feel it was a fit. And it definitely wasn't. But the fact that she just like stopped playing for the team it kind of feels like a bit of like an abandonment. Like, who decides, I don't want to be on this team, so I'm not going to play anymore? So I think a lot of people are feeling, DeWanna Bonner, don't let the door hit you on the way out. I am genuinely like on the edge of my seat about what the Indiana Fever are going to do about the hole in their front court. I think that with Demiris Dantas going over to AmeriCup, they probably will temporarily suspend her contract. So there will be some more, even more cap space, even more money that they can play with. I don't know that they'll actually need it, but that is a good safety. So what can we look forward to with Ary McDonald? She will keep the pace up. She will be shooting from three. Despite her size, she will be driving into the paint. She's tenacious on defense. She is scrappy. She is gritty, and she is a great role player. And right now, I am not mad at the Indiana Fever finding really good role player pieces, not stars necessarily. So even if Emma Miesemann doesn't come and they can just find somebody who has a decent 3-point shot, who can protect the rim, I mean, especially somebody who's a rim protector, I'd be happy. The Indiana Fever have been on a tough stretch of games schedule-wise. Obviously, Caitlin Clark, she looks pretty gassed, or she looks like something's going on. You know, again, I mentioned this in my video yesterday. I can only imagine that that DeWanna Bonner kind of quitting on the team was a big blow to everybody, because this was a person that they signed. This was somebody that they touted was going to be the leader of our team. And when the vocal leader of your team, when the veteran presence of your team kind of quits on you, that's demoralizing. Caitlin Clark has really stepped up as the de facto leader of the team. So, you know, there's kind of like the veteran leadership and then the young leadership in Caitlin Clark. So I personally think mentally that probably had a big impact on Caitlin Clark's demeanor. You know, everyone is talking about how she's been looking really down, and I've seen it, I've mentioned it, but hopefully this is just like a light at the end of the tunnel. This is like new beginnings, and I mean, I just can't wait to see what the Fever's next move is.